National Prosecuting Authority expressing confidence in its fraud and corruption case against former Ekurhuleni City Manager Imojan Mkhwanazi. The current head of human resources, who is suspended, Linda Cxasheka, and you include in there the EMPD acting chief, Julius Mkhwanazi, also on suspension, and the third and last person, who is Kemi Bihari, the legal head, also on suspension. This case relates to the unlawful registration of alleged criminal kingpin Vusumuzi Ket Matlala's vehicles with the EMPD. Now, to help us unpack the Schedule 5 charges they currently face and whether the state has a case or not, we're joined by legal expert Zola Machavu. Always a pleasure talking to you, sir. Good evening. Thank you for your time. Let's begin with what happened this afternoon. So, two of the accused are granted bail, but we're told that the bail office is closed. Does that mean that they indeed are going to spend another night behind bars? Because remember, they were arrested overnight.
Good evening, Broccoli, and to our wonderful viewers at home. Good question. The answer is yes and no. Yes, in the sense that if the money that bail has been fixed at is not available, they will have to spend the night in custody or as many nights until that amount of cash is available. The question whether or not do they stay overnight simply because the bail office is closed? No, because depending on which correctional center they will be transferred to, either Sun City or Boksburg, they can still make bail at either of those prisons. The bail office there works 24 hours, but obviously to the extent that when the courts close for the day, the bail office at the court had closed, it simply means they will have to be transported to a correctional center where they can still pay their bail overnight or first thing tomorrow morning.
Yeah, well, just to quickly follow up on that, because we are told the court did reveal where exactly they'll be transferred to, and they are being transported to the Brooklyn police station. This is a Schedule 5 offense. Viewers may want a reminder of what a Schedule 5 offense means, either for the accused or indeed the state. Just quickly give us a refresher there.
It simply has to do with the seriousness of the offense and the quantum involved. In this instance, we're talking a couple of millions, so that's why it is typically referred to as a Schedule 5 offense. Alternatively, for a person who appeared before court on an unrelated charge and he is released on bail, if he gets arrested subsequently on another different matter, their bail application, even if it would have been a normal Schedule 1 bail application, it now morphs into a Schedule 5 on account of the fact that he will now be appearing for a second charge while out on bail. But Schedule 5 offenses simply means the quantum involved is in excess of a couple of hundreds of thousands, 500,000 at the bare minimum. So it has to do with the seriousness of the offense, and the bail onus rests on the accused person, who is the applicant. Because it was a Schedule 5 offense, those who were granted bail would have had to testify either under oath orally or by way of an affidavit. In this instance, they used affidavits. They would not typically have to use a bail affidavit if it was a lower schedule offense. So Schedule 5 and Schedule 6 are higher categories of offenses, and the onus to prove to court that the interest of justice permit their release rests on the accused person.
Yeah.
People must remember that whatever you see and comes out of the Madlanga Commission is not in and of itself evidence for criminal proceedings. So what we see is not necessarily indicative of the strength of the state's case, but it could possibly suggest what leads the investigators are following up. Remember, it does not automatically mean that if people have confessed or said stuff that is incriminating to them, in the Madlanga Commission, that necessarily amounts to the strength of a state's case. The state will use that as a useful pointer, but the state must still investigate independently. And no one knows what the strength of that investigation has yielded so far, because at this stage, not even the accused persons are entitled to be privy to the contents of the docket. So if the state says they believe that they've got a strong case, only they are in a better position to make that call, because they have the docket, they have reviewed it, they know what evidential material they are going to rely upon. So at this stage, it will be foolhardy for anyone to second guess what the NPA says about the strength of their case. But typically, the NPA will never go publicly and say we are prosecuting a case in which we do not have full confidence in the strength of our case or the merits. But in some instances, they may say the case is strong, and I've been in instances where when it comes to trial, the strength of the state's case is not as strong as they made it out to be. So it's still early days, but we can accept that they would not have enrolled it unless they were satisfied that they have at least a prima facie case.
Yeah. These charges, how long will they likely go away for?
Well, how long is a bit tricky. I can tell you that in this type of case, the minimum sentencing regime is applicable. So per count, you're looking at 15 years, unless at the end of it and in the sentencing stage, they persuade the court that there are compelling and substantial reasons which may cause the court to deviate, meaning to deviate downwards. But if, for example, it's 10 counts and they're found guilty for each 10 count, for all of those 10 counts, it means it's 15 years per count, that's 150 years. However, the court may also order that those sentences run concurrently. So in effect, they may end up with a 15-year sentence, assuming that they would have been convicted on 10 counts, if the court does order that they run concurrently. If the court doesn't order that, then they will have to run the number of years per count, which the court may deem to be appropriate. So you get sentenced per count.
Just